Alright guys, we're going to talk about section 1.2 today. That's displaying categorical data. It goes over talking about our bar charts and our pie charts and what all we need to have labeled and drawn in them to make them worthwhile. So we'll start out with dealing with our bar charts. We'll look at these guys right here. So our bar charts, so they're for categorical data. That's the big thing right there, categorical data. You want to draw and label your axis. You want to make a scale. Key is start at 0. Start at 0. That is key. Let me get a different color here of this pen because that'll be a little bit better to read. There we go. That's a little bit better. Alright. And then you want to draw your bars. So as I have displayed right here, you've got this bar chart. Again, this would start at 0. And then you label your bars and so forth down here as well in your x-axis, okay? Pie charts represent all of the data, and it must be a whole. So in other words, 100%. The key fact there is 100% in pie charts. You'd also, best thing to do is label these sections in here. Like you're going to label this like 36%, so forth, and going on. This is 15%. It's best to label those. It makes it a little bit easier to read. This pen is giving me trouble today. Alright. So with that, those are the big ideas that we're going to cover today dealing with our displaying categorical data for 1.2. So let's look at this real quick. So we have displaying categorical data. The Pew Research Center has a random sample of 517. So we've got our sample size right there as key, sample size, 517. 18 and 34-year-old kids, or 34-year-olds, what type of phone they use. So we can see here that we have 169 iPhones, we have 214 Androids, and 134 other. So a total of 517. Total of 517. So if we have total 517, let's go ahead and see what we want to do first. The center released the following bar graph. What is misleading in it? Or what is misleading it? So with this, I'm going to look over here and see what we got going on. So number 1 says, the center released the following bar graph. What is misleading in it? Well, if we look at this, and based off that, what would y'all think that would be misleading? Well, a key point right here, hopefully y'all saw this, is it starts at 120. That's the worst part about it. It doesn't start at 0, which is like we said in our notes for the bad is, it must start at 0. So with this, the vertical axis starts at 120 instead of 0. Starts at 120 instead of 0. No, it's be 0. Well, that was a cruddy 0. There we go. So that is 0. So that is the main thing wrong with that, okay? it makes these appear greater than they really are. Okay, because over here from the other, it seems like it's just a little bit. So it's a big, great difference right here. But in all honesty, it's not that big of a difference. If you look at the values there between these, like iPhone 169 and others 134. Well, it looks like a pretty big difference between those two, but it's really not that big if you start at 0. Alright, so now it's asking to make a relative frequency bar chart of the table to display the distribution of type of phone among the 517, 18 to 34-year-olds in the sample. So we got to find a relative frequency. So do y'all remember how to find the relative frequency? Well, hopefully we're on the relative frequency. You're going to take the amount and put it over the total. So with this, we'll take, we have 169, I believe is the setup for that first one right there. So we'll say 169 divided by, what was it, 517, was that it? Yes. 517. So let's leave it at 2 decimal places. So we'll say 0.33. Okay, and then we got 214 by 517. So we've got, oh my goodness, well, if I type in the right numbers here. So the number didn't look right at all. 214 by 517. That looks better. So we got 41%. .41. Pen will work for me. And then we've got 134 over 517. I'm going to write these over again. This is nasty. So this is 0.41. Okay, so then we got 134 over 517. Now we're going to go over here, Control Enter, and that gives me 26. So let's say 0.26. So now we can check this, make sure this all adds up. So we got 4 and 6 is 10, so that's 0, and then 1 is 4, 4, 8, 9, 10. So we should have a 1 right there for those total frequencies. So now we can simply draw our frequency bar chart. So again, down the x-axis, we'll say we got iPhone, we got our Android, and then we got the other. Okay, so now again, where should we start out our axis at? Start out at 0. So start at 0, and let's just make this easy. We'll go 0.1, because the highest we went up was 0.41, so we'll just go in tens here. So then we'll go 2.3, say top there is 0.4. Okay, and we'll call this, again, we got to label our axes. It's very important. So we'll label this relative frequency. Okay. And we've already labeled our x-axis with iPhone, Android, and other. So now, let's change the color here, just make it a little bit more presentable. Well, I thought it would let me change it easier, but I guess not. Alright. So with our iPhone, we had 0.33. So we'll just draw this up to around right in here. For Android, we had 0.41. Draw that up right on 0.4. Trying to make it as best I can. And then we got other was 0.26. So then we'll do this guy right around in here. And there you go. Alright, so the last one then says use a relative frequency to sketch a pie graph for the data. So with this, again, you've got everything labeled for your x-axis and your y-axis on your relative frequency bar chart. Now we just need to make a pie chart. Oh, that was way too small. So let's do this. Let's draw. That's a horrible circle. I'm still getting used to drawing on this pad, people, so deal with me. I'm going to get through this. We'll figure it out one day. So, we'll say right there, let's say the first one was like 33%. So we're right in there, I guess. And we'll label that. We'll say it's 33%. Just kind of color like that, and we'll say 0.33. But now, what was 33%? That's where we need to label and say that this, those lines through it, is our iPhone. Okay. And then, let's see, we got our Androids, those are around 41, so let's make that somewhere around in there. How's that look? We'll say that that's, we'll just leave that one blank and we'll say 0.41. Okay. So we'll just say a blank is our Android. And then we'll just put dots in this last one. Alright, and we'll say that that one is going to be our other. And we'll say that was what, 2.26. Now we've labeled the frequencies, we've given the pie chart, granted we use colors, just different little designs inside of them to identify, and we labeled them with a key over here for our pie graph. And that's the big thing you need to take away from this. Alright guys, see you next time.